Welcome to the Daily Insider here on Vegas Insider. I am Kevin Rogers as we take a look at today's action. It is Monday, March 28, 2022. The Final Four is set. And of course, four schools you've never heard of are in the Final Four: Villanova, Kansas, Duke, and North Carolina. So we're looking forward to those teams finally getting their feet wet on a national spotlight. But Duke and Carolina, one of the games coming up on Saturday. Villanova, Kansas also before that. I mean, it's going to be two fantastic games, and whoever comes out of those for the national championship next week. And we're going to talk about that with Kyle Hunter coming up in just a moment, though. Before we get to Kyle, first want to talk about the Sports Illustrated Sportsbook. It's sisportsbook.com. That's where you can find them. It's only eligible right now if you're in Colorado. New players only get up to $300 in free bets when you sign up. Must be 21 years or older to play. And again, located in Colorado. Full terms and conditions apply. For more information, check them out online at sisportsbook.com. All right, now it is time to bring on Kyle Hunter, who is one of the top college basketball handicappers at Vegas Insider, top college football handicapper from last season. And Kyle, kind of going to bounce around a little bit, but Duke and Carolina, you get them in the Final Four. Of course, we all saw this coming in Coach K's final season.
Yeah, I mean, what a Final Four we have here set up, Kevin. We had all these upsets and Cinderellas, and like you said, then we end with these four. I think you could argue four of the top six names in college basketball, all blue blood teams. It's crazy. You know, we haven't seen Duke and Carolina in the NCAA tournament. I guess it's fitting that we see them here in Coach K's final season. I didn't think North Carolina would be at this point, but not too big of a shocker that Duke is here. You know, Kevin, these Elite Eight games were not elite. They were not tremendous games. I'm looking forward to the Final Four because both of these games should be a lot better.
Let's start with Duke and their win over Arkansas on Saturday. And I don't know, Kyle, if I just went to the contrarian route necessarily, that a lot of people were going to back Duke after they beat Texas Tech in the Sweet 16. You know, a lot of people said, all right, Arkansas used up everything against Gonzaga, that they got that win and now had to get up for Duke. They got down early. They came back, made it a game, and then Duke opened it up. We know how good Duke is, but how surprised were you that Arkansas just couldn't bring it back for another game, or you pretty much expected that?
That was a game that I didn't have a good feel for. I didn't take anything on that game. You know, Duke, a team that I think is peaking at the right time. I'm really impressed with the way they've played here. Texas Tech played well against them, and Duke just made shots at the end of that game. Against Arkansas, and I think Duke was fortunate to play Arkansas instead of Gonzaga. I know Gonzaga had their chances, and they've dropped out early several times. I do think Chet Holmgren, some of those calls were very bogus against him. I mean, hard to believe he got 5 fouls the way he did. Arkansas, the other thing that stood out to me about that game, Kevin, at the end of that game, it was 78-69 with like 50-some seconds left. No foul from Arkansas, and then no more points. So if you had under 147.5, you got a very fortunate win on that one.
Well, and also, too, Kyle, you bring that up with the totals, 11-1 to the under in over the 4 days, the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. And the one over was that Texas Tech Duke game where you had the second half, just pulling it up really fast, 89 points in the second half of that game to go over when you had a 33-29 Texas Tech lead at the half on 137. You felt pretty good about that. So really, I know you said that the other game could have gone the other way, Duke and Arkansas, but Duke and Texas Tech, that one was a clear-cut under before blowing up in the second half.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I think Texas Tech played really well. I don't think that was Texas Tech not playing well. I think that was Duke just being even better. Duke's offense is really good. I mean, they're now the top-ranked offense in offensive efficiency. It doesn't surprise me. They have so many good options. Obviously, Banchero is their top option, but, very good shot makers. Roach, Wendell Moore. This is a team, and Mark Williams has been great in the post, especially defensively. So Duke is a deserving favorite at this point. This is a team that I would be worried to be playing. I don't think Duke is going to sneak up on anybody, especially in Coach K's final season. But Duke is excellent. This is a team that kind of didn't play their best basketball throughout the course of the season. But now, I mean, it's going to be a real challenge to stop them. I think if you're going to beat Duke, you're going to have to score quite a few points.
Now, on the other side, that other Saturday game, Villanova, they shut down Houston 50-44. And understandably, Cougars go 1 of 20 from three-point range, and Houston was still down 4 in the final minute. They still hung around in spite of all of that. I don't know, again, I was 0 for 2 on these picks on Saturday. Villanova wasn't a great dog this year, and the last few years they got eliminated as an underdog. They didn't look very good. But Jay Wright's team, we know how great Jay Wright is, but they were able to step up here. The Justin Moore injuries is devastating for them moving forward. But for Houston, it just goes down to you're not making shots, you're not going to win.
Yeah, I had the under in this one, so that was a fun game for me to watch, unlike probably everybody else, because that was an ugly game. But 50-44 is a great under, certainly. This is a Villanova team that I think has been underrated by many people for quite a few years. Kevin, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I think Jay Wright's the best coach in the country. He's just been consistently very good for years in a row now, and I don't think they have the very best talent, but they're so consistently good, good team chemistry, very good team. They don't beat themselves. You're going to have to beat Villanova. They're not going to beat themselves like a lot of other teams do. Houston, Houston's a good team. Houston's offense has always been inconsistent, and their weakness on offense showed up in this game. I think Sampson's a great coach too. Houston lost 2 key guys to injuries throughout the course of the season. So for them to get as far as they did, they deserve a lot of credit. And now Nova, like you said, their upside's at least somewhat limited without Moore. And Gillespie didn't look like himself in that game the other day either. So, Villanova is a team that if they were at full strength, I would like their chances at where they are right now. I understand why they're an underdog. And, like I said, the Villanova-Houston game was a defensive battle. It was played at a very slow pace. I think Villanova wants to do that. They want to slow the game down in every game that they're in. They're not going to hold everybody to 1 for 20 from three-point range, though.
So Villanova faces Kansas, and a little dicey for the Jayhawks, down 6.5 to Miami. And you would have thought Jim Laranaga's team maybe could close this out, but 47-15 in the second half for Kansas. Just unbelievable. And they're the only top seed left. And now they face Villanova. But, just Kansas' second half, just for them to just flip the switch like that. You figured, all right, you got Kansas -5. Maybe you get a straight up win. Oh, no, you don't know if you're going to cover, but they outscored by 32 in the second half.
Yeah, Kevin, I was at a lot of points in this game was regretting that I didn't play Miami. And then by the end of the game, I was pretty happy I didn't play my lean on Miami. I got to tell you, Miami just completely fell apart in this game. I thought it was even more than Kansas being amazing. I thought it was Miami just completely fell apart. The wheels fell off. As one of my friends said, I don't even think there was a car left anymore at the end of this one for Miami. It was just a terrible, terrible performance in the second half. Miami jacking up some bad threes early in the shot clock when there was no rebounders down there, and they're missing them all. Kansas, I don't know what to make of Kansas. I think of all the 4 teams in the Final Four, Kansas is the team that I think I understand the least. They're a good team. I don't know that they're a great team. They've had an easier path than was expected. And if you think about all the teams that lost that were supposed to be their top competition along the way, many people had Iowa beating them. Iowa lost the first game, obviously. Now they play Miami in the Elite Eight, which is certainly, you play a 10 seed. The carpet gets rolled out for Kansas, and then Villanova gets guys injured. So I don't think Kansas has exactly had a tough path to this point. But, you can't blame them too much. They have gotten the job done.
Yeah, they missed Auburn. They missed Wisconsin also. So who knows how that could have turned out. But Kansas back in the Final Four. Now, on the other side, we talked about Duke. So I think the nation didn't really want Duke and St. Peter's in the Final Four. They wanted Duke, North Carolina, round 3. St. Peter's was a great story. And it felt like, too, Shaheen Holloway for doing a fantastic job putting St. Peter's on the map. Former Seton Hall point guard. He was an assistant coach there for years. You knew as soon as they were gone, he was going to be headed to Seton Hall, which he is. I'm not going to say there was a distraction. I think North Carolina's just better than them. But the Tar Heels kind of felt like this was one where St. Peter's, if they were going to lose, they were going to get blown out.
Yeah, Kevin, this is one where, I have a pretty strict rule at home. I have young kids that, we're not watching movies and stuff when college basketball games are on. But with, 7 or 8 minutes left in the game, we started up a movie on Disney Plus. I mean, this one was out of hand early and often. St. Peter's just didn't have it. This is a North Carolina team that has length all over the floor. That was definitely bothering them with their shots. St. Peter's, you got to give them a ton of credit for getting to this point. I think Purdue, gosh, what a missed opportunity for Purdue. And the Big Ten, once again, Kevin, I like the Big Ten. I'm a Buckeyes guy, obviously, but the Big Ten once again chokes and on the big stage looks really bad. So, year after year, they've done that here lately. North Carolina, they're playing their best at the right time. I don't think they had to play amazing yesterday against St. Peter's, and you could argue that it kind of benefits them that they really didn't have to put forth a lot of effort in that game. That was a game in the second half that North Carolina was just screwing around with them.
And also North Carolina just beat UCLA and Baylor. So, after those two big wins and they rolled Marquette, North Carolina, what's interesting about them, Kyle, they had just one bad half or second part of the second half, that stretch against Baylor. They've been so dominant so far throughout. And they had that, again, Baylor came back, forced overtime down 25. But you could argue that what North Carolina has done, they've looked pretty good for a team that a lot of people thought maybe shouldn't have been in the tournament.
Oh, they've looked really good. I think North Carolina's playing as good a basketball as anybody here lately. And like you said, just that part after Brady Manick was kicked out of the Baylor game is really the only time they've played poorly. I thought UCLA played well in the game against North Carolina as well. Really nice win there for North Carolina. In fact, North Carolina ranks 11th in momentum at Haslametrics right now. It's not surprising to me. They're playing really, really good basketball right now. They have not been consistent throughout the course of the season, but what we've seen lately makes me think that they are going to play well here on Saturday. And then if they win that game, I would think they'd be a tough out even on Monday. Certainly a team that is peaking at the right time and has tons of athletes. I mean, this team was too good to be losing at home to Pitt like they did in the regular season, underachieved for so long, and now they're peaking. Hey, if you're going to peak, this is the right time to do it.
Who's got the advantage in this game after North Carolina? They were blown out by Duke at home. Then they go to Cameron, Coach K's final game at home. All the former players are there. Carolina ends up beating them as 11-point dogs. Now that Duke gets another shot at them one more time here this season, not like a next season revenge thing, like right now, who has more, who has more of the advantage here? Carolina, because they just beat them, or Duke saying, all right, we got them again. We can beat you this time.
Yeah, I don't think there's a big motivational edge one way or the other. When you're in the Final Four, I mean, everybody really wants to win in the Final Four. I think this is more about matchups and, who's the better team. As far as this one, I will tell you, I think the biggest edge North Carolina has is rebounding. On the offensive rebounding, Duke has struggled. They're below average defensive rebounding team, and North Carolina is going to get second chances here. That would concern me if I were betting Duke here, and this one certainly. In fact, North Carolina is 8th in the country in second chance conversion rate. Duke's below average defensive rebounding team. Duke's biggest edge is 3-point field goal percentage, where they're 29th. North Carolina is 205th and 3-point defense. I really think that this will be a tight game. The total at 151.5, Kevin, I can't take an over in a massive dome that's being played in the Superdome at 151.5, but I'm not excited to bet an under either. I mean, who really is excited to bet under in North Carolina Duke? As far as this one, I will tell you, I haven't bet anything on any of these Final Four games yet, but my early lean is North Carolina plus 4.5. I think this is a decent amount of points for a team filled with talent. I mean, Love, Manick, Baycott, these guys are playing really good basketball. I don't think they're going to get blown out in this game. I think this will be a close game most of the way. Now, could Duke pull away at the end and cover the spread? Certainly. But I don't see this being a blowout all the way through. I think North Carolina is playing too well. And my pretty strong lean here at the beginning would be taking the points with the Tar Heels.
Do you buy into that with the totals? I know you're a big totals guy. Playing in these stadiums, that things have changed. Like you have that elevated court, and it's just not the same as they have in the previous rounds. Do you buy into that the nerves and the sight lines and all of that would result in an under?
Yeah, I do think that that is a factor. The problem I have with that, Kevin, is that there's been so many low-scoring games lately. I mean, didn't you say 11-1 in the
Yeah.
last 12 here? That's made these totals lower than they would have been. So it's a little bit hard for somebody like me where I would have wanted to bet the unders in these games. I still might bet an under somewhere here, but you're getting no big discount anymore because these games have gone so far under here of late that these numbers are several points below what they would have been. I do think that playing in a big stadium with these sight lines is an issue. I think that it's been proven time after time, especially we see it in conference tournaments. We've seen it like with the MVC. We've seen it in Madison Square Garden time after time. I think this is an issue. So I don't want to bet an over. I won't bet an over on either of these games. I know I won't do that. The question is, can I get to an under because the numbers have been pulled down here.
Well, both meetings with these teams went over 152.5 the first time, 153 the second time. So now it's at 151.5 here the third time, and we'll see if that continues. And quickly, I guess on Villanova, Kansas, without Moore and Villanova, they continue to play well. These low-scoring games. I guess you'll buy into more of an under here, or is there a side you prefer in this game?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Villanova is so well coached. Jay Wright may be the best coach in the country, and I don't think that Villanova is going to go off as quietly as some people think here. Even with them being shorthanded, Samuels played really well the other day. I think he'll be a problem here for Kansas. The public is going to bet Kansas in this game. It's almost assured. I think everybody and their brother is going to be betting Kansas in this game. Whether that's the right side or not, I'm not sure. I think I would lean toward Villanova, but I'd rather wait because I think we might see a 5 instead of 4.5 if I'm going to bet Villanova in this one. My lean is the under. This is a low number. I hate that it's so low. I think if it weren't for Villanova and Houston being so low and then Kansas holding Miami to 15 points, we would have seen something like 136. And instead, we get 133 or 132.5. I still think that the under is my strongest lean in this game. Nova is going to slow the pace down. They don't want to run with Kansas, especially shorthanded. If they make shots, it'll go over. These sight lines are a problem. Kansas defense is not tremendous. Their offense is pretty good. So not a strong lean here on this one, Kevin, but I'll lean Nova and the under in this one.
Well, it should be two entertaining games on Saturday, and then whoever comes out Monday night. But at least we got some good names here going into the final weekend of college basketball season. And then, for all intents and purposes, all this college stuff is done until the fall. Do you have any leans or anything on the NIT semifinals on Tuesday in New York?
Yeah, I kind of like St. Bonaventure against Xavier. I think Bonnie's a really veteran team that's really been up for this tournament. They want to win this tournament pretty badly. Xavier Scruggs, we got to check on Paul Scruggs, whether he's going to play. He's been injured. If he doesn't play, I think that's a good spot for St. Bonaventure. That would be my lean in that one. And I do have a premium play up for Tuesday night's NIT game already for one of those. So you can check that out at Vegas Insider. I'm 10-2 in my last 12, 10-2 in the NCAA tournament, and 5 straight winners overall with some NIT ones thrown in there. So it's been a good run here of late, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that Texas A&M Washington State game should be pretty good. Washington State's pulled off a couple of good wins at the end, winning at BYU and winning at SMU. And A&M, they've got this chip on their shoulder for not making the tournament. Buzz Williams has them going. They played well at home and picked up a few wins, so they'll be in the Final Four of the NIT. And those games are usually pretty decent. I know people don't really focus on them, but they still have some good name teams in there. Kyle Hunter, you could find him on Twitter at Kyle Hunter Picks, and great college football handicapper, college basketball. Still keep an eye on the NBA as well. Kyle, we appreciate all your work this season. We'll catch up with you again soon, and if we don't, then we'll definitely talk to you in the fall for college football because we love your insight for college football.
That sounds good. Thanks, Kevin, and everybody enjoy the games.
All right, there is Kyle Hunter, and again, always great talking to him. And that's something a lot of people don't really discuss is in these football stadiums when you play the Final Four of the national championship. We remember years ago, when was it? It was that Connecticut Butler game in Houston, that 53-41 game. You did have a few years ago overtime that Virginia, Texas Tech 85-77. Last year was 86-70 between Baylor and Gonzaga. So, and I'm talking about those are the national championships, not the Final Four. Saturday, the semifinal games. But we've seen that, though, in the past in these big stadiums where scoring is at a premium and it's not as easy to you just know that. I mean, when you're shooting in these 70,000 seat stadiums as opposed to 15,000 seat arena, things change. So it's a lot bigger. And we'll see if Duke and North Carolina, if they continue with another high scoring game coming up on Saturday. But again, a great thing for college basketball. First time they're ever playing in the NCAA tournament. And you would think, how's that possible? Because they just never hook up. They just haven't after all this time. So that should be pretty good. All right, let's take a look now at some NBA for tonight. We have a very busy card since college basketball. There's two games. It's the Basketball Classic. You have Coastal Carolina and South Alabama, followed by Southern Utah and Fresno State. Winners of that one will play for the championship of the Basketball Classic on Thursday. So a couple games to nibble on if you want for college. But NBA tonight, Nuggets and the Hornets. We'll start with those two teams in Charlotte. And let me get my number here, numbers that I have. All right, so if you don't know this, Charlotte off the win last night over Brooklyn and Kyrie Irving's first home game of the season because he's finally allowed to play now at home. He struggled. Hornets won, and they have won 7 of 8. 119-110 winner over the Nets. But Charlotte this season, no rest. They are 1-12. 0-7 at home with no rest. They face Denver, who is 7-1 their last 8 on the road. Also, Denver blew a huge lead going into the fourth quarter last time they faced the Hornets back on December 23rd. 115-107 lost to Charlotte. So I'm sure Denver's got that in the back of their minds going into tonight's game. Orlando's at Cleveland, and let's flip to that one. So the Magic, they blew it late against the Kings on Saturday. They've lost 2 in a row now after they won 2 straight. But that game, 114-110, lost to Sacramento's 2.5-point favorites. Now the Magic head to Cleveland. They face the Cavaliers, who have gone backwards of late. 3 straight losses, including a 98-94 defeat to the Bulls on Saturday. That game wasn't even as close. Chicago was up big and Cleveland came back. But the Cavaliers 0-4 against the spread the last 4. Also, Cleveland 6-11 against the spread their last 17 as a favorite, and 4-8 against the spread their last 12 as a home favorite. So the Cavaliers have had issues covering numbers after they covered everything, it felt like, earlier in the season. The Cavs will still be in the playoffs, but they are dropping, though, in the Eastern Conference as far as seeding goes. The Hawks and the Pacers from Indiana and Atlanta back up to 500, 37-37 on the season. And Atlanta, they've been up and down. They've alternated wins and losses in their last 7 games, coming off a win over Golden State on Friday. So now Atlanta, we'll see what they do here on the road. Last time they were on the road, they lost to Detroit by 21. Indiana, I don't remember seeing this. A team that's lost their last 2 games by a combined 70 points. Lost by 40 at Toronto and lost by 30 at Memphis. That's not good. Indiana also in a 5-game under streak. And this season in their meetings, I know Indiana's all beat up, but Atlanta's 3-0 against Indiana this season. All 3 meetings have gone over. In fact, the last 7 have gone over since January of 2020. So Atlanta scored 131 last time they faced them and 133 last time they faced them. So this total at 234.5. See if that keeps up. The Heat, they have been ice cold of late, and they may be losing their grip on the number 1 seed in the East. Miami comes into this game tonight 0-7 ATS the last 7. They've lost 4 in a row. They've lost the last 3 at home to Golden State, New York, and Brooklyn. And the Heat get the Kings tonight, who have won 2 straight. Sacramento beat Miami at home earlier this season, 115-113 back in early January. 3.5-point dogs. That game found a way to go over in spite of 44 points in the first. They combined for 74 in the second. But also in that game, De'Aaron Fox scored 24. He's not playing. Sabonis, he's still out for the Kings. But Sacramento has played a little better of late. So far, 2-0 in this road trip. They've covered 3 in a row. And the Heat have just gone backwards. They got to find a way to get this going, but they're laying a bunch tonight at home. The Knicks, off a win over the Pistons yesterday, they were up big over Detroit. And then the Pistons came back, cut it to 2. Cade Cunningham had an opportunity to tie the game late. He got stripped, and the Knicks ended up winning by 2. So New York, they get another road win. They've now won 3 straight. Now they're back at home. Knicks 0-6 straight up, 1-5 against the spread. Their last 6 as a home dog. So that has not been a good situation for them. Bulls snapped a 2-game skid by winning at Cleveland on Saturday. And Chicago, they're 2-1 this year against New York. First 2 meetings went under. Last meeting went over. And the Bulls dropped 119 on the Knicks last time they faced each other in early December. They squared off a lot earlier this season. Chicago was up 18 at the half in that game. Knicks came back, made it interesting, and didn't get the cover, though. But Chicago trying to just get back up the standings a little bit, even though they're still in really good shape for a good seeding in the East. But they were in that 1-2 spot. And as of now, the Chicago Bulls sitting in 5th place in the Eastern Conference. They are 3 back of the 4. Well, the 4 to the 3 because Milwaukee and Philly are tied. But how about this, though, for the top 4? Celtics, Heat, Bucks, and Sixers all within a half game of each other. So that all can change day to day, and we'll see how it goes with Boston. They lost their big man, Robert Williams. He got hurt, torn meniscus. So he is done for a while. And who knows what will happen with the Celtics as far as if Jason Tatum will play tonight. They just beat Minnesota yesterday at home, and you see the Raptors laying 4.5 in this one. Celtics is as hot as they've been. They've not been an underdog that often, but with Williams out, we'll see if either Tatum or Jaylen Brown, if one of them don't play or both of them don't play. But the way this line is going, Toronto, who just beat Indiana by 40. But again, Indiana's not that great. Cleveland's been sliding. Toronto's still playing well. And this season in their head-to-head, the Raptors won the first game in Boston in convincing fashion. That was a much different Boston team, but won by 32. Boston's won the last 2, and all 3 meetings have stayed under the total. And this total at 210.5 tonight. So we'll see if they go 4 for 4 on the totals, staying under. The Spurs and the Rockets in Houston. San Antonio making a bit of a comeback to sneak into the play-in tournament. They are currently the 11th seed. So they're right on the outside looking in, but they're a game back of the Lakers, who blew a 23-point lead at New Orleans last night. So San Antonio, who beat New Orleans back on Saturday, they're probably not going to get to the 8, but that 9, 10, 11 can go. It's going to be Pelicans, Lakers, Spurs, 2 of those 3. I don't think the Blazers will make it because they've totally tanked it, and Sacramento can't put it together. So you'll get either Pelicans, Lakers, Spurs, 2 of those 3 in the 9, 10 slot. Maybe the Lakers don't make it when it's all said and done. Who knows? But San Antonio, though, they have played better here on this road trip, winning at Golden State, winning at Portland, winning at New Orleans. This was in the heels of them losing by 33 at home to New Orleans. So, and the Spurs have played better. Also, more unders for them. They were on that huge overrun for a while, but they allowed 103 to the Pelicans, 96 to Portland, 108 to Golden State. That's a much better defensive showing than what they had before. Houston grabbed a couple of wins at Portland over the weekend, and the Rockets right now on a 6-0 under streak. San Antonio an 8-2 under streak. And the first 3 meetings have gone over the total. So you wonder now if it goes backwards here with the total at 234.5. And last 2 meetings actually barely went over the total between these 2. So we'll see how that one goes tonight in Houston. Golden State and Memphis, and the Warriors right now. Got to try to get things straight. Klay Thompson probably not playing tonight. I don't know if Draymond's going to play. Steph is still out. That's why this number is huge. And Ja Morant, he's still out for Memphis, but it doesn't matter. They keep winning. They beat Brooklyn at home. They blew out Indiana. They beat Milwaukee by 25 back on Saturday. Giannis played. It's not like he didn't play. But Memphis, one thing they do well is they get contributions from a lot of guys that, Desmond Bane continues to have a very good season. Also, DeAnthony Melton, he had 24 in the win over Milwaukee. Jaren Jackson had 16. It's a good team. And you know what, too? They got Dylan Brooks back. And Brooks, who has played, for the last 6 games for Memphis, that's a huge pickup for this team. In a sense, a pickup. He was a big part of their team last year in the playoffs, but he was out for so long that just getting him back, it felt like almost like a trade deadline type move, just getting him in, just get a proven player. And look, they get Ja Morant back. They're going to be very dangerous in the Western Conference. 2 teams not very dangerous in the West, the Thunder and the Blazers. They got to play the game. It's on the schedule. But Oklahoma City laying 1.5, and the Thunder lost a close one to Denver back on Saturday, getting 17.5, lost by 6. But Oklahoma City has covered 6 in a row and 7 of 8. But during that stretch, there's been 5 covers as double-digit underdogs. Now they're laying points, a rare spot for the Thunder, against this Portland team who they've lost 8 of 10. And they just dropped a 17-point decision to Houston. Before that, a 19-point decision to Houston. 3 straight unders for Portland. I mean, the Blazers are obviously a mess right now. And look, Damian Lillard out, McCollum traded, Simons, he's out as well for Portland. It's just a walking wounded at this point. But the Thunder, short favorite here. First 2 meetings stayed under the total. Take what you want from that because you don't have a lot of the same players playing in those games. All right. That's it for today's edition of the Daily Insider. And we appreciate Kyle Hunter's contribution, as always, for joining us here on the show. And we'll be back tomorrow. But Stephanie Odie, she will be stepping in tomorrow. And Stephanie did a great job with she went to St. Peter's, not for school, but she went to St. Peter's across the way. She's located in New York. She went there to check out some of the students and the fans and the reaction to the win over Purdue on Friday night. And then, they fell short to North Carolina on Sunday, but still did a great job with that. You check that out on social media with her, with Stephanie, and she'll be hosting the show tomorrow at noon Eastern. So we are looking forward to that. And I will talk to you again coming up on Wednesday. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel here at Vegas Insider. Also, we have 2 of our division breakdowns for Major League Baseball, the National League East and the American League West, on our YouTube channel. And we'll have more of those coming out this week, checking out the other divisions as the baseball season coming up next Thursday. We're almost there. I know that the lockout backed it up, should have been this week, but really it's fine because we still have college basketball. We have a great Final Four, so it's okay. We back up baseball a week. But we will talk to you again coming up tomorrow. Stephanie will be in at noon Eastern. I'm Kevin Rogers. Thanks a lot for tuning in. And as always, best of luck with your bets.